Number 3. The Exorcism of Maricica Cornici. Maricica Cornici had a rough life. She was born in communist Romania in 1982, and she and her brother were abandoned at an orphanage at a young age after her father committed suicide. She grew up in the orphanage, which was a nightmarish place where she experienced countless abuses. When she was 19, she moved in with a foster family. Cornici worked abroad in Germany for a few years, and her foster family held on to her money for her. In early 2005, when Cornici was 23 years old, she visited a friend living in a monastery in Târgu, Romania. The monastery was Romanian Orthodox, but it was built by a private donor and not recognized by the Romanian Orthodox Church. While she was at the monastery, she found out that her foster family had stolen her money. They also found a new foster daughter, and Cornici wasn't welcome to return. After a life of hardship, this was a new low in Cornici's life. Without anywhere else to go, Cornici chose to stay at the monastery. The head priest at the monastery was a 29-year-old monk named Daniel Corrigiano. Corrigiano was strongly against science and teachings from the West. Several months after moving into the monastery, Cornici said that she heard the devil whispering to her. Eventually, Cornici was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, and she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. The psychiatrist who examined her said that she was probably suffering her first episode. She was given medication and she was released to the monastery. The doctors told her to return in 10 days. Shortly after getting back to the monastery, Cornici started acting erratically and violent. Corrigiano was convinced that modern medicine wouldn't be able to help her, and he wanted to perform an exorcism. He said, "You can't take the devil out of people with pills." Corrigiano apparently got in contact with Cornici's brother, and the brother encouraged him to go ahead with the exorcism. First, Corrigiano got 4 nuns to lock Cornici in a cold, damp room. Corrigiano offered Cornici holy water to drink, and she refused. He decided that if she wasn't going to consume holy water, she wasn't going to get anything to eat or drink. If locking a mentally ill woman in a cold, damp room without any food or water wasn't bad enough, it got worse for Cornici. Corrigiano ordered that she should be chained to a makeshift cross in the cold, damp room. Chained to the cross, Cornici continued to scream and rant, so they stuffed a towel in her mouth. Cornici remained fastened to the cross for 3 days without food or water. On the 3rd day, one of the nuns checked her pulse and found that it was weak. By the time the ambulance arrived, Cornici's difficult life had come to an end. The official cause of death was asphyxiation. Her body was released to the monastery where she died. Her body was not allowed in the main church because she had been possessed. Corrigiano and 4 nuns were arrested and charged in connection with the deadly exorcism. Corrigiano was defrocked and he was given a 14-year sentence. The 4 nuns were sentenced to 5 to 8 years. Corrigiano was released in November 2011, and he now lives in an isolated cabin on the edge of a forest near the monastery. Number 2. The Exorcism of David Weilbacher. In early 1976, 19-year-old Deborah Weilbacher's 4-year marriage had come to an end. Looking to move on with her life, she and her 3-year-old son, David, moved into a house in Yakima, Washington that also functioned as a church for the people who lived there. The leader of the small sect was 51-year-old Leon Cunningham, a self-ordained Pentecostal minister. The other residents of the house, who were also church members, were Leon's wife, Thelma, their 27-year-old daughter, Carolyn, and Lorraine Edwards, who was a friend of Deborah's. Leon preached to his followers that President John F. Kennedy would come back to Earth as the Antichrist on August 18th of that year. He had his followers sell their possessions and told them to be prepared to move to Texas. Leon also thought that there was something wrong with Deborah's son. One afternoon in the spring of 1976, David went for a walk with the other church members. On the walk, he saw the burnt-out shells of 3 houses. After seeing the burnt-out houses, Leon thought that the boy talked ceaselessly about them, and he was obsessed with them. Another problem for Leon is that sometimes the 3-year-old would wet his pants and his bed. Leon was also unsettled by the boy's laugh. He said that the laugh wasn't from a child, but it wasn't an adult laugh either. Finally, Leon said that when he looked into the boy's eyes, he saw evil. So Leon convinced his followers that David was possessed and he needed an exorcism. Leon thought that the best way to expel the demons were through ceremonial beatings. The ceremonial beatings happened twice a day, every day. In every ceremony, each member of the church spanked David with a sanded plank of wood as many times as they wanted to. Sometimes they would push David to the ground as a way to humble him. These ceremonial beatings started in April and they continued on for months. On July 22nd, the beating was quite severe. Leon said that David was acting like a vicious dog, so he and the other church members had to keep beating him and pushing him to the ground. After a push to the ground, David stopped moving, and sadly, he stopped breathing. Leon took this as a sign that the exorcism had worked. He told his followers that God would resurrect David. He ordered David's body to be put into a spare room, and the room was sealed off. For a while, no one, including David's mother, did anything about his death. Then August 18th, the day that Kennedy was supposed to appear as the Antichrist, came and went. Over the next month, Leon's wife became suspicious of what he preached, and in September, 2 months after David died, she went to the police. The police raided the house and found David's body. The church members were arrested and charged with first-degree manslaughter and second-degree assault. Deborah, Leon, and Leon's daughter were found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. The other 2 church members were also found guilty, and they were sentenced to 5 years. If David Weilbacher's short life wasn't sad enough, his name was spelled incorrectly on his tombstone. It was spelled Weilbacher with a K instead of an H. Number 1. The Exorcism of Michael Taylor. Growing up, Michael Taylor of Ossett, West Yorkshire, England, never really showed any interest in religion. Then in 1974, the 31-year-old butcher and his wife, Christine, joined a Christian fellowship group that was led by lay minister Marie Robinson. After a few weeks in the group, Michael and Robinson grew more friendly with each other. Michael also started speaking in tongues. At one of these meetings, Christine accused Michael and Robinson of having an affair. Michael admitted that Robinson had seduced him. Then suddenly, Michael physically attacked Robinson. They had to be separated and Michael was sent home. Over the following weeks, his behavior became more erratic. Robinson spoke about Michael's condition with a local Anglican minister named Peter Vincent, and she told him that she thought he was possessed. Vincent agreed with her, and he said that he would perform the exorcism. On October 5th, 1974, Michael went to a church in Barnsley. Vincent performed the exorcism, and he was assisted by Methodist clergyman Raymond Smith. The exorcism lasted all night, and the priest proclaimed that 40 demons were expelled from Michael. In the morning, Michael said it felt like there were 3 demons left inside of him: insanity, murder, and violence. Nevertheless, the priest let him leave the church, and he made it home by 10 o'clock. Shortly afterwards, Michael was found wandering the streets, covered in blood. The police were called, and when they found Michael, they asked him whose blood it was. He said that it was the blood of Satan. The police rushed to his house. Christine, Michael's 29-year-old wife, was dead. Michael had removed her eyes, her tongue, and her face with his bare hands. She died quickly from drowning on her own blood. Michael said that he killed her because a demon had possessed her. Michael went to trial and he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He spent 4 years in 2 different psychiatric facilities, and then he was released. Then in 2005, Michael was charged with inappropriately touching an underage girl. He was again ordered to receive psychiatric help. The Methodist Church and the Anglican Church handled the situation differently. The Methodist Church denounced the exorcism. The Anglican Church did not denounce it. Instead, they said that this was an example of why a job always needs to be finished. Thanks a lot for watching today's video. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We try to post a new video every Sunday and Thursday. I also want to say a big thank you to Michael Nix for his help on the audio today. Finally, if you like the video, please follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. We may even follow you back. But that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.